Welcome to the Paisans podcast. We're your hosts, the brothers from other mothers, Dante, Dave, and Sark. Join us as we talk about current events, our wives, kids, or whatever else life is throwing at us this week. You're with the Paisans, you're with family. That's too funny, man. That's too funny. Well, I'll tell you what, man. While you guys were having a grand old time at the bachelor party, I was nursing a catheter for like 5 days straight from my surgery on Thursday. Here's a little bit. I got to tell you guys about this. So, had the surgery Thursday. Went great. Like, really went great. I mean, I was nervous or whatever, but it went great.
Yeah.
Wake up, they have a catheter in you, and not you, but me. But they got a catheter, and attached to the catheter is like, let's imagine I want to say a converter, but it's almost like imagine that you have like a 3-prong, like you have 3 prongs here, and then you have 1 prong here. So imagine this prong is going into me, okay? It feels like it's about this thick as it is, by the way. Okay, but then outwardly there's like 3 prongs, okay? You have one that's connected to a bag that's like got a long tube attached to it that's got a bag that's collecting your urine. There's another one that's connected with some sort of an interesting tip to it where they have a special thing that they put on it that inflates a little bubble at the end of the catheter, which is how it stays in your bladder.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have another tube, which is just like another opening. And when you wake up, they're flushing water in, like saline, through that opening and then draining out of the other opening. So you're like, they're putting saline into you through that same. All right. So long story short, like once you pass a certain amount of blood, they're basically like, okay, you're good to go. We're going to send you home.
You go home.
So they detach the input, so they're stop putting anything in, and you basically just have this bag, and then you have this. So you got these, but they keep this thing attached. So you have this. It's almost like you're attached to this adapter. So this is the word I was looking for. And then they attach this thing to your leg. It's like an adhesive, adhesive pad like this big. And it has in the middle of it like a little snap enclosure that rotates. And they actually attach that adapter to that piece on your leg.
Mm-hmm.
And the purpose of that is to give you slack between where it's held and yourself. Because what you don't want is for that thing to get pulled, right? So So you have that. So they clip that thing on, and then you have 2 dangling pieces, and then you have the third one, which is attached to the bag. That's basically what you have to live with for 5 days. So for 5 days, that's what I had. And I'll tell you, man, waking up with the catheter already in is not, I mean, it's obviously not having to have it put in is great because having it put in is not fun. But it feels weird. And any guy listening, if you've ever, you're walking and let's say things shift this way or that, I'm going to get a little graphic, but if your urethra opening is like not, and you get a little scrape on one edge, like every guy goes, yeah, you're both going, what that feeling is. We've all had it. You just turn on your underwear or something, right? Well, like that's kind of a constant feeling because this thing is like inside you the whole time you're like walking around. So you get up and you move, and every time your body shifts a bit, you get that like sensation, this like, oh man, You're also not like actively peeing. So you're just like hanging out, and then every now and again you're like, I feel like I need to pee, but you can't open or close. Like everything you would open or close, it's all held open by the tube, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So very weird sensations over the course of a few days. The hardest thing about it probably was sleeping.
I was going to say, that's trying to move in your sleep, right?
It was hard to sleep. And what's really strange is you develop, in just 5 days, you develop almost like a whole process, like a routine. So you're like, for example, I could be sitting here and have it, because I was like working, so I had it attached to me. And, it flows out of you and then down into the bag through gravity. So the bag's always got to be lower than where your bladder is. But if it's let's say it's coming up to go over your leg and then go down. Sometimes you'll start to see liquid kind of going up. And if you move, you feel it coming back in. Like, it's so bizarre.
Oh my
like,
God.
you're like, oh my God, it's coming back into me.
Jen, pinch it. Pinch it.
Like, no, don't pinch it because there's a tube in there. I'm like, hold on, it's coming back in. So I got to tip my body. Like, you got to tip your body. Like, so it's like, you're treating your body like it's a bowl, like it's a pitcher. Yeah. Okay.
Oh my God.
And then constantly like making sure everything is flowing into the bag. Okay. So you're dealing with that. The people at the hospital are like, yeah, once the bag gets half full or so, then you empty it. They show you how to empty it. So the first day I'm going and it's getting heavier and it's getting heavier. And I'm like, oh, she said, let it get half full. And the bag is, you saw, like, I text you guys the bag. The bag's big. Well, at a certain point I look and I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Like, why am I carrying around a bag of piss? Just because she said it could be like up to half full? This is disgusting,
Uh-huh.
I started, and it's, by the way, getting heavy.
Right.
So I'm like,
well, I was thinking it's going to pull it. It's going to pull it down, right? Like pull it out.
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm like, what am I doing? So I started emptying it like every 10 minutes. I mean, I just got to the point where I was like, I'm keeping this thing as close to empty as I can because it's just I don't know why I'm in my mind, I'm thinking, and I don't know why they're encouraging people to let it gather, but whatever. So that was really weird. Sleeping was very, very difficult. And 2 nights I tried to sleep in my bed and I didn't get good night's sleep. And then the next 2 nights I slept down here on the couch and I slept much better. Not great, but better. Part of it was because I was like sleeping. I would sleep for like 4 hours and then wake up and I couldn't really get back to sleep.
Yeah.
So part of the reason for that would be like in the middle of the night, like if I turn wrong. Okay. So part of what's happening during this process is like there's a fair amount of blood, right? Like blood and clotting, right? There's like part of what that's happening because they clear out this tissue within you. And so it's got to clear out of your body. And that takes a while. Well, you know what happens to blood is blood gets sticky, So blood would sort of coagulate a little bit around the tube. And then so like I'd move and the tube would just go to moving you a little bit and you're sort of stuck to it. And so you get that like, something tearing, like it's really unpleasant. So trying to sleep, you lay in a certain position for 3 hours, things stick. Then you turn and you're woken up by this sharp pain, like something's ripping, it's like, oh my God, what is this? So wasn't able to really get like a nice, good 7-8 hours of sleep. It was much more chopped. And then like in the afternoon, I would sort of doze because I would just be tired.
Yeah.
So that was like a whole experience unto itself. But you can imagine after a few days of this, Monday morning comes around at 9 a.m. I have my appointment to go get the thing out. And I was up. I was like, I'm fucking ready to go, man. How soon can I be there, So I get there, and this is not what I expected it to be. I really thought it was going to be like awesome. I'm going to go in. I don't know what it's going to be like when they remove this thing, but they'll remove it. I'll cope with whatever that's going to be. And then I can go on with my day. And hopefully I feel okay, and we'll see like what I'm capable of doing. Well, right away, the woman is like, so first of all, nurse comes out, and she's this woman who, she could be, maybe not my mother, but she's in her, let's say her late 60s. Okay. So it's awkward. Like she's this older woman, like, and she's very sweet, kind of a cool grandma, but at the same time, like just awkward. Not that it would have been much less awkward if she were a young woman. That would have been even more awkward. But she starts giving me this whole spiel. She's like, so our goal today is to have you walk out of here with this out of you. I'm like, our goal?
Oh.
Like, what do you mean our goal? Like, I thought that was a guaranteed thing. Like, what do you mean our goal? She's like, well, you have to have a full bladder elimination here before we can be sure that you have it out. So, we're going to fill your bladder, and then you need to feel like you're at that point where like you need to pull off the side of the road and go. And I'm like, that's not going to take like much. And she's like, well, okay, blah, blah, blah. So the long and short of it is she has to, like, I have to fill. So I'm like, oh, so you're going to give me like a bottle of water to drink? And she's like, oh, no, we don't fill your bladder that way. Remember, I still have this adapter attached to me.
Oh, boy.
So she pulls out this thing of water and what looks like a great big syringe. And she's like, all right, so this attaches to that, to the adapter. And I'm like, oh, geez, So first thing, she's like, well, now you have to, pull down your pants and you can sit here comfortably. And she sits me in this chair. I pull down my pants and I'm sitting there and this woman detaches the other bag and she's attached. So here's this little old woman. She's about 2 feet total from me, laying back, fully spread, dick and balls, just like right there in her face. And I'm just like, this is so weird. And she's like, there is a towel or something here if you want to go. I'm like, oh gosh, like, thanks, lady. Like, it's just, like, I'm
like,
already
most people use that towel over there. You're like, what the hell?
It's actually the same towel too that everyone uses.
So I got to sit there while she's flooding this thing, which is such a bizarre sensation because
I bet.
Like you're feeling it. Like I mean, meanwhile now I've had this thing in me for 5 days at this point. So she's going in and I'm like, I gotta go. She's like, I haven't put in that much. I don't think that's gonna be enough. So long, like we're negotiating while she's putting it in because I'm like, I gotta go. She's like, how bad do you have to go? So because listen, if you can't get rid of this, we're going to have to put it back in you and like try again, on Friday. And I'm like, keep going. And I'm like, I'm virtually lifting myself off the floor. Like, well, this woman's doing it. So finally at a certain point, like, I can't take it. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I can't take it. So we had this, she's like, okay. She gives me this cup. She's like, as soon as you're done, as soon as I pull it out, you need to stand up and you need to, pee in this cup. And I'm like, okay, fine. So we have like the moment she does the thing with the bubble to like eliminate the bubble at the tip, and I have my birthing moment. Finally, this damn thing from me. And Dave, I was thinking about you because, I'm almost 50 years old, and I'm a relatively tall guy. Like I'm a relatively big guy. I'm telling you, I sound like a little kitten. I'm like, oh, it's the most bizarre thing as she does this thing. And so fortunately I stand up and it's like, no problem. She's like, I put in 300 cc's and you evacuated 300 cc's. You did great. Like, oh God, not to mention like, there's like blood and like, dripping like,
it's 299.9 cc's, so I'm afraid it's got to go back in for another week.
Oh my God! Let me just tell you, it was so bizarre.
What a job that is, too.
I know. God bless her. God bless her. She was really patient with me. I mean, So I said to her. So long and short of it is, everything worked. Immediately, I feel different. It's taken me a couple of days ever since now. I have to like acclimate to like the second I feel like I got to go, I can't just run to the bathroom. Like I got to hold it and let that sensation pass. Because what I'm finding is they also, I don't know if I told you guys this, I think I did, but is in addition to the major issue I was having was I also had bladder stones. And the doctor was actually, he's like, these were significant stones. He's like, these would have been bothering you. So what I realized has been happening for the last several years. And I just like, it's like you have a backpack and somebody just puts a couple of stones in it every day. It's like you don't ever realize that over time you're carrying like a 50-pound backpack. And at a certain point, somebody takes it away and you're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea I've been hauling that around.
Wow.
I realized I had been dealing. So the stones, imagine like, they are like at the bottom of the drain, right? Imagine they're like at the bottom of the drain. And that drain has all the nerve endings that run through you and tell you that you have to pee. So they're like rattling around at that drain, which is constantly leaving me with the sensation of like, I still kind of feel like I got to go. Like it's just weird. It feels like there's something that needs to come out. And it's like that, because that's exactly what it was. There's no way I was going to pass those stones, naturally. So I am just blown away by how much better I feel, I think, from that alone. It's remarkable. It's remarkable. When I tell you, I really didn't realize how much of an effect that was having on me. I can't understate it. And the difference, it's beyond words. Like, it really is beyond words.
Yeah.
All I can say is I realize now that I was feeling them all the time, like all the time. And I just was like, this is whatever it is I'm coping with. It's all related to that.
Yeah.
It's been unbelievable. It's been unbelievable. So the last week.
They took care of that during the surgery or as a byproduct? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Because they go in with a tube and a scope and they just vacuum it right out.
Yeah.
No problem. That's quick and easy. And now you just got analysis on. Unfortunately, everything looks like it's all fine. Like, it's nothing to be concerned about. But Dave, it's interesting because I know you've had the issues with gout, and it's similar in nature. Like, the stones are crystallized.
It can be, yeah. It can be. When I had my kidney stone last year that I had to have surgically removed, it's very similar surgery, I think, to what you had. They tested the stones, and I was expecting it to be uric acid, connected to my gout. It wasn't. It was something different. It was sodium something. I don't know. Sodium, like there was sodium sulfate or something like that. I forget what it was. But I mean, a lot of what you were saying in terms of just the procedure itself, the taking the catheter out was very similar to when they took the stent out. And I told you basically, you almost told the exact same story, I feel like, of what I was saying. Where
you said, because I remember you telling me you let out like, whoa.
Yeah, and it was some lady who, probably wasn't this old, but, some lady who was older than I was, probably, 10, 15 years older than I was. And again, very nice. She probably does this all the time, and you're sitting there at probably your most vulnerable state because you're like, is this woman judging me? Like,
of course.
Is it big enough? Is it cold in here right now?
Like
or is it like
my life is in your hands right now?
It's always too cold.
That, yes. Yeah. Well, real quick, when I was doing the surgery, the surgery room was so cold, and I actually made a comment. I was like, it's a little cold in here. Can we turn the temperature up a little bit? Like, because I was getting self-conscious. I was like, they're going to look at this and just be like, look at this thing. But like when they took the stent out of me, it was the same feeling where it just like, I remember I told you that I was like, I felt like pissed all over her. Like, she pulled it out, and I had this rubber stent in my kidney. So they just essentially, she just like, yank, just like kind of like just went like that.
Yeah.
And you feel this rubber like going through you. So like I thought I pissed all over. I was like, ah! I did the exact same thing Dante did. I was like, whoa, and then like she was like, look, it's out. She was like, well, like, look, here it is, like that. I was just like, oh. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there like, like I'm like hyperventilating. But it sounds like it was very similar to what you went through, Don. And
really,
I was having flashbacks as you were telling that story. Honestly,
yeah. I was thinking about you through a lot of it because I was like, this has got to be just like the same stuff that Dave went through. It's really
I didn't have a
very similar.
I had a string. I had a man pond essentially for a week. But when you were talking about moving around and stuff with that in you, I had the exact same thing. I mean, I was like, all right, I'll be fine. Like it's just like this string. But then I try to walk bullet or something. I'm sitting there. It's like, okay, each step's a little weird. Like it feels like you just like feel it moving a little bit, and you're like, okay, like, maybe I don't need to. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this right now.
Correct. Because effectively what happens is over time, like you're choking up on it or not. Like it shifts like this. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a natural occurrence for different reasons. I mean, one of the things obviously I was worried about going through this process was function. Mm-hmm. And not to share too much information, but only to say like, we all have like natural occurrences that happen over the course of the night while you sleep and whatever. And that was another thing that was actually creating an issue for me because I would wake up in the night like, oh my God, like.
Yeah.
So that was contributing to that because again, you get that sticking and then it would move one way or the other and it would, but 100% Dave, when I would walk, I couldn't really stand upright and just walk. I had to like edge along carefully because I didn't want anything to move. Because if you got just too comfortable and like, then you get one of those like, oh, whoa, like really sharp pain. So it was an experience, but I will tell you, first of all, the fact that there was virtually no pain, like there was a little bit of swelling and some pain like internally as far as discomfort, but I would never really call it pain. I was just maybe a little bit of discomfort.
Oh, so no painkillers or anything like that prescribed to
I
you?
didn't. They prescribed 3.
Okay.
One which was a true painkiller, and the other 2 were mostly about like muscle spasms. They're trying to prevent bladder spasms. I didn't take a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing after I left the hospital. Not a single painkiller. Nothing. I filled the prescriptions and didn't take a single pill. They all. First of all, one of the side effects of all of them is constipation, which
Absolutely.
which I don't want to be dealing with, particularly in that state, because none like that. It made everything more difficult.
Yep.
But most importantly, my attitude is if I don't need to take the medication, don't take it, unless I feel like it's. And I can understand for certain surgeries, you'd absolutely want to take, painkiller. I was just lucky in this case. I was expecting significant discomfort, but I'm amazed at how little I actually had.
And they're very generous with the painkiller prescriptions. I mean, they'll give you like 3 months of oxycodone, like no questions asked, and encourage you to take it,
I will say it was a little strange to me that there was kind of an encouragement when I went to get the catheter removed. The woman was like, this such and such would help with spasms. I mean, you should, consider taking that. And I was like, well, okay, but when you say spasms, I don't know exactly what you're referring to, and I haven't had any pain, so I'm not sure why I would take anything.
Why would I take it? Yeah.
Yeah. Just okay, but just so you know, like that would really help you with the spasms. And I'm like, I'm not sure where we're not hearing one another. I don't even know what you mean by spasms. Like I'm not experiencing any discomfort. So. I mean,
it sounds like that's just like a standard company line from the like they're just like, I don't know if they get a kick if you use that stuff, but it just sounds like that's what they do. They're just so coded to say that.
That's what it is. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any kind of kickback.
Yeah, it was the same thing after my hernia surgery. They had prescribed me, I think it was oxycodone, and I didn't take any of it. It was nausea, constipation, like all those side effects you don't want to have after hernia surgery.
Yeah.
And I wound up taking Motrin, which was okay. I mean, I was still in pain. But every time I either talked to the surgeon or went for a follow-up, he was just like, you're not taking that? You're crazy. You really need to start taking that. And I'm like, no, I don't want to take it. I'm fine. I felt like he was trying to convince me to take oxycodone.
It would mean a lot to me if you...
Yeah, you really... I have some in my pocket now, actually. If you,
I'll give you some for free, and then if you want more, you just come back and pay for it.
There's a crack house in Atlantic City.
That's where I get it from usually.
Right across from this Airbnb.
Across from an Airbnb, exactly. Oh man, well, anyway, it's been a hell of a week, so I got to tell you, I just feel amazing.
It's great,
and every day is just a little bit better. Yeah. I mean. Now I have to just kind of retrain myself to go and frankly to hold it a little bit and like be comfortable, not get. I got to figure out like when my body's telling me I got to go, like I really got to go. It's just something that's going to take me a little bit of time to retrain myself because I was in such a weird like everything was so thrown off by the mixed signals from the stones and everything else happening, And then, quite frankly, my entire, like all the muscles have become so relaxed over the years because I had to be so relaxed in order to go that I've got to build those muscles back up. It's just like, I don't want to say they've atrophied, but they have gotten weak just because when I tell you I had to be in a state of such relaxation to go, I can't understate it. And so now I'm just trying to, I've got a lot to get used to again. It's like, great. I'm going back to how I was, and it's fantastic, but it's just going to take a few weeks,
Can you get back to exercise and that kind of thing, or do you still have to wait a bit longer?
No. So they tell me no lifting of anything more than 15 pounds for 4 to 6 weeks. 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
And I'm like, really? But here's what
pounds?
I always think about when they, right? Well, but here's what I always remember when they give you guidance. They give guidance based on the lowest common denominator.
Yeah.
Yes, they give guidance based on who they normally see. And the fact is most of the guys having this type of surgery, they're in their 70s or they're in their 80s.
Yeah.
And they're probably not in great health for any number of other reasons. And so they have to give all these restrictions because they have to assume that, I mean, when I go in and they say, can we have a list of medications you're on? And I say, I'm not on any. They're just like, does not compute. What do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
You must be on something, which I get. It's like, I get it. That's like what a lot of people the state most people are in, which is fine. But for me, I got the thing out Monday. I was exercising Tuesday. And I've been exercising ever since, and I feel great. Like, I feel great.
Good for you,
man. I feel fantastic.
That's awesome. Good for you.
I'm just, I really, like, there's no words. I just did not expect that it was going to be this much of a difference. It's just been amazing. It's been amazing. So
I'll tell you, man, leading up to, I've had surgery, but the surgeries I've had, I was young. I had like tonsillectomy. I think I was 6 or 7. I had surgery, I think, on my leg. I might have been like 10 or something. I had my wisdom teeth extracted when I was a teenager. But, I mean, recent memory is really just the hernia surgery that I had 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those like fight or flight things too, leading up to surgery, where like the days leading up, I was psyching myself out. I was just dreading it. It wasn't a particular fear of anything, but just really dreading the whole thing. And they had me, washing with the special wash that you had to do the day before the surgery and everything like that. So it was just all bad vibes. And the night before, I was kind of freaking out. It was getting into my head, and it's like, I know this is standard surgery, but, what if they screw up, whatever it is. And then I remember being there, and at the point where they had me change and, get into the wheelchair, like all of a sudden my mind just flipped. It was like, let's do this.
Right.
And I don't know if it was just like a way to, psych myself into doing, but all of a sudden it was like fight or flight right there. And it all kind of came back. Like, I don't want to go home and feel the same way I felt before. I just want to get this shit over with no matter what it is. And from that point forward, like all the prep and everything, I was just like, tell me where I got to go. Tell me what I got to do. I'm here.
Yeah. So, that's great. I found going in, like, for the most part, I was pretty positive about it. I was really trying to, anytime I would get a little concerned or some worry slip into my mind, I kept reminding myself how lucky I am that I was in a position that I could go and have something done to fix this, and I could continue and have like a regular life.
Yes.
We recently lost somebody who was very close to us, and she dealt with a really, really vicious cancer. And ultimately had no options, and it ultimately took her life. And I just remember that. I just think about who are all the people out there who are dealing with diagnoses that they don't have any options.
Yep.
And I just kept putting that in my mind. Don't get me wrong. Like, when I got there, I definitely had like a moment or two before I got started where I was like, okay, I'm getting nervous here. Like, it's real.
Yep.
But then, like you said, and also a lot of what I've been reading and listening to recently is all about that mindset and going into it with that mindset of like, let's do this. Like, this is gonna turn out great. I'm gonna be so happy that I did this in a week.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna have to walk through a gauntlet or whatever it's gonna be, but I can get through it. And once I'm through it, it's gonna be a million times better. And you literally change everything, your mindset, your physiology, like who you are. It's all different going into the situation that way. So it's
totally agree.
Now I'm
totally agree.
Likely going to have to get some kind of deviated septum surgery later this year because it's causing a real problem with my sleep. So my sleep apnea is having serious, like, my blood pressure is showing up a little bit high recently, and we're pretty sure it's because of my sleep apnea.
Yeah.
And even with the like, I have the BiPAP machine, but even with it, I still am having apneas, and it's largely because I can't breathe well enough through my nose. So, like, the machine is not strong enough to blast through whatever closes in the back of my throat. And that's all related to me breathing through my mouth as opposed to breathing through my nose. If I could breathe through my nose, I probably wouldn't even need a full mask thing for my BiPAP, in which case I'd actually get the benefits of it and I would stop apneaing.
Yeah.
So I got to work toward that toward the end of the year. And I know that's actually going to be a harder surgery than this one.
They'd have to go through your nose. Yeah. So you're going to have like face pain and stuff. It's going to.
Correct. There's all sorts of packing. Like, Emily my sister-in-law just had it done, and Jen had it done years ago too. It's like they correct the deviated septum, and then there's something there called the I can't remember what they're called, but it's tissue that's up in there that just helps. It's just extra. It's not extra tissue, but it's tissue that builds in the area. It doesn't build in the area, but it contributes to the congestion. Basically.
Yeah.
I could remember the name of it, but they clear that out too. And
Clear it out.
It's not fun. It's like you have packing going. Feels like all the way up to your brain, for like 5 days or something, and all kinds of drainage. Not fun.
No.
But again, it's just like I got to get through it because high blood pressure, no freaking way, man. I'm too young. I'm in too good a shape in every other aspect of my life to be dealing with something like high blood pressure.
For sure.
So anyway, these things all contribute, and it's all about the mindset. So
it's good to have you on the other side, man.
It's like again, guys, I can't even tell you in words like how much of a difference. I feel fantastic.